Commander Velquan adjusted his silver uniform as he stood before the massive holographic display aboard the Imperial war cruiser Dominion's Edge. The blue-green planet rotated slowly in the projection, its single large moon casting shadows across continents that sparkled with the telltale signs of primitive civilization. 3 suns had passed since his reconnaissance fleet first detected the unusual energy signatures from this backwater system, and what they found both amused and disappointed him. "Commander, the deep scans are complete," announced Science Officer Krixtal, her forearms working frantically across the bioluminescent control panels. Her species, the Zephyrians, were renowned throughout the Empire for their analytical minds. The dominant species has barely mastered their own gravity well. Their spacecraft are powered by controlled chemical explosions, and their weapons— She paused, her gill slits fluttering with what passed for laughter among her kind. They literally throw metal projectiles at each other. Velquan's mandibles clicked in amusement. In his 2 centuries of service to the Galactic Empire, he had overseen the annexation of 47 worlds. Most surrendered immediately upon witnessing the Empire's technological superiority. Those few that resisted were quickly subdued by energy weapons that could vaporize mountains or tractor beams that could drag their crude vessels apart like toys. Classification confirmed as Category 7, then, Velquan decided. Minimal threat. Standard annexation protocols. Signal Admiral Thexran that we can complete this operation within a solar rotation. Meanwhile, 67 million kilometers away, Captain Lee Minho gripped the railing of the UES Defender's bridge as proximity alarms shrieked throughout the vessel. The human ship, one of Earth's most advanced patrol cruisers, suddenly felt impossibly small as massive alien vessels materialized at the edge of their solar system. Each enemy ship was easily 10 times the size of humanity's largest space station. "Captain, sensors are detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our databases," reported Chief Engineer Ryu Tai-hyun, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "Those ships are generating power levels that should be impossible according to our physics models." Lieutenant Park Ji-won, the communications officer, turned from her station with growing alarm. "Sir, I've tried every frequency we know. Radio, laser, quantum entanglement communicators, even old electromagnetic pulses. They're either ignoring us or can't understand our signals." Minho studied the tactical display, where red dots representing alien vessels moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Their movement was predatory, purposeful. These weren't explorers or diplomats. "How long until they reach Earth's orbital perimeter?" "At their current speed, approximately 18 hours, answered Navigation Officer Park Sun-woo. "But, sir, if they can manipulate space-time the way their approach suggests, they could be here much sooner if they wanted." The captain's weathered face hardened. He'd served in 3 conflicts defending Earth's colonies from pirates and hostile corporations, but this was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. "Send word to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we have visitors and they don't seem friendly." On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Thexeran observed the human patrol ships through his command throne's direct neural interface. The Krillian Admiral was a veteran of countless campaigns, his scaled hide bearing ritual scars from battles across the spiral arm. To him, the human vessels looked like metal insects buzzing around his war fleet. "Such quaint little ships," he mused to his tactical coordinator. "Their largest vessel couldn't even damage our smallest escort craft. This will be over before it begins." Commander Velquan approached the Admiral's throne. "Shall I initiate standard first contact protocols, Admiral?" "Skip the pleasantries," Thexeran decided, with a wave of his clawed hand. "Open all channels and deliver the ultimatum. The sooner these primitives surrender, the sooner we can move on to more challenging conquests." The transmission burst across every frequency that Earth's technology could detect. The alien Admiral's image filled screens across the planet. Towering reptilian creature, with eyes like burning coals and a voice that seemed to shake the very air. "Inhabitants of the 3rd planet, you will surrender your world to the Galactic Empire. Your primitive technology cannot oppose our might. Submit now and your species will be granted the honor of serving the Empire. Resist and face annihilation." Captain Kim Soo-jin was grabbing a quick meal in the crew quarters of Orbital Defense Station Alpha when every screen in the facility blazed to life with the alien's message. Coffee splashed across the table as she jumped to her feet, rushing. To the command center, where Lieutenant Han Jinwoo was already coordinating with Earth's other defense platforms. "Captain, they're demanding complete surrender," Jinwoo reported, his voice tight with controlled anger. "No negotiation, no discussion of terms, just submit or die." Sujin stared at the tactical display, showing the alien fleet's overwhelming advantage. Logic said they should at least consider negotiation. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of fewer than 200 vessels, most designed for exploration or asteroid mining rather than warfare. Against an enemy that could cross interstellar space, they seemed hopelessly outmatched. But something deep in her military training, something fundamentally human, rebelled against the very concept of surrender without a fight. "Lieutenant, open a channel back to their fleet," she ordered. "Ma'am, are you sure Earth Command hasn't authorized any response yet?" "I'm not speaking for Earth Command," Sujin replied, her voice growing stronger. "I'm speaking for humanity. Tell these aliens that Earth doesn't surrender to anyone who won't even have the courtesy to introduce themselves first." Admiral Thexran's scaled fingers drummed against his command throne as he waited for the inevitable surrender transmission from the primitive world below. In his 300 years of military service, no species had ever taken more than 6 standard hours to capitulate after witnessing the Empire's overwhelming firepower. The massive Imperial dreadnoughts hung in space like sleeping giants, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that could crack planets. "Admiral, the humans are responding," reported Communications Officer Zethrix, his tentacles writhing with confusion. "But they're not surrendering. They're mobilizing their entire fleet." Through the viewport, Thexran watched in disbelief as hundreds of small human vessels emerged from behind their planet's moon, asteroid bases, and orbital stations. The ships moved in chaotic swarms, completely abandoning the orderly battle formations that every civilized species employed. Instead of forming defensive lines or attempting to negotiate, they scattered in all directions like frightened insects. "What are they doing?" Thexran demanded, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "Have they lost their minds? No species fights like this." Commander Veliquan studied the tactical displays with growing unease. "Admiral, their movement patterns make no tactical sense. They're exposing their flanks, leaving their command ships vulnerable, and breaking every fundamental rule of space. Combat!" Captain Choi Daeho gripped the controls of his modified mining fighter, the Soul's Fire, as he dove toward the massive Imperial battlecruiser. The alien ship was so large it had its own gravitational field, and his small craft shook violently as he approached. Through his helmet radio, he could hear the voices of dozens of other human pilots, all volunteers who had answered Earth's desperate call. "This is Busan Runner," came the voice of Captain Yu Sung-hyun, his longtime friend and wingman. "I'm reading massive energy shields around their primary vessels. Our conventional weapons won't even scratch them." Daeho glanced at his fuel gauges and weapon systems. His fighter carried mining lasers and explosive charges designed for asteroid work, nothing that should threaten a warship designed to conquer star systems. But humans had always been good at making do with what they had. "Then we don't use conventional tactics," Daeho replied, pushing his engines to maximum burn. "Remember what Commander Park said in the briefing. If we can't penetrate their shields, we go through them. You mean ram them. Our ships are small enough and fast enough that their targeting systems might not track us properly. We get close, empty our weapons into their weak points, then finish the job personally." Yu Sung-hyun was quiet for a moment. Both men knew what this plan meant. "My daughter just started school last month." "Then let's make sure she gets to graduate," Daeho answered. "For Earth." The two fighters screamed through space toward the Imperial cruiser, Eternal Dominion. Their engines pushed far beyond safe limits. Behind them, dozens of other human pilots followed their lead, each choosing their own targets among the alien fleet. The Imperial gunners, trained to fight against large capital ships in predictable formations, struggled to track the small, erratically moving human craft. Daeho's proximity alarms shrieked as alien energy beams lanced past his fighter. One blast clipped his wing, sending his ship spinning, but he managed to regain control just as the Imperial cruiser's bridge loomed ahead. Through the transparent aluminum viewports, he could see alien figures scrambling at their control stations. "Now," he shouted, triggering every weapon his fighter possessed. Mining lasers and explosive charges designed to break apart asteroids slammed into the cruiser's command section, tearing through hull plating and shattering the bridge's protective barriers. A split second later, both human fighters struck the alien vessel at nearly a tenth the speed of light. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a brilliant flash that momentarily outshone the sun. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Yuna, commanding the destroyer Resilience, watched the successful attack from her position near Earth's largest space station. Her ship was one of humanity's most advanced warships, but compared to the Imperial dreadnoughts, it looked like a patrol boat facing battleships. "Did you see that?" shouted her tactical officer, Lieutenant Ko Jinsu. They actually took down one of their cruisers. Yuna studied the tactical display where the massive Imperial vessel was now drifting, dark and powerless. The kamikaze attack had worked, but at a terrible cost. 2 more brave pilots had given their lives to prove that the aliens weren't invincible. "All ships, this is Colonel Shin," she broadcast on the fleet-wide channel. "Forget everything they taught us at the academy. These aren't pirates or corporate security forces. Standard tactics won't work against technology this advanced, but we just proved they can bleed." Across the human fleet, captains and commanders began improvising tactics that would have horrified any military academy. Captain Nam Ji-hyun of the cargo hauler Incheon Express jettisoned her entire cargo of processed metals, creating a deadly debris field that tore through Imperial fighter formations. Commander Bae Min-hyuk used his ship's industrial tractor beam to grab a destroyed human vessel and hurl it like a massive projectile at an alien destroyer. The Imperial forces, meanwhile, found themselves facing an enemy unlike anything in their databases. Tactical Officer Quindar reported to Commander Velquan with barely controlled panic in his voice. "Sir, they're using their own destroyed ships as weapons. One of their vessels just detonated its reactor core while ramming our escort frigate, Kata Void Striker. Another ship is using some kind of industrial equipment to throw debris at our formations." Velquan's mandibles clicked nervously as he watched the chaotic battle unfold. "This is impossible. No civilized species fights with such disregard for their own survival. Are they all insane?" "Commander, we've lost 6 vessels in the past 20 minutes, reported another officer. "The humans are adapting faster than our computers can calculate. Every time we counter one of their tactics, they try something completely different." On the bridge of the Resilience, Yuna coordinated with other human commanders as they developed new strategies in real time. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but they clearly expected their enemies to fight according to established rules of warfare. "Captain Park, take your squadron and hide in that asteroid field," she ordered. "When their next wave comes through, hit them from behind. Captain Lee, use your mining ship's ore processors as weapons. If they can crush rocks, they can damage alien hulls." The battle raged for hours, with human vessels darting between the massive Imperial ships like sharks attacking whales. Every human victory came at enormous cost, but slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. The aliens' perfect formations became scattered as they tried to adapt to human unpredictability. Commander Velquan stared at his tactical displays in growing horror. His fleet was supposed to be conducting a simple annexation, not fighting for their lives against opponents who seemed to view death as just another tactical option. "Sir," his tactical officer reported grimly, "we've lost 12 ships. These humans, they're not fighting to win territory or resources. They're fighting like cornered predators." The Imperial war cruiser, Bleeding Fang, drifted helplessly through space, its massive hull torn open by a human suicide attack that had caught Admiral Thexran's forces completely off guard. Emergency lights flickered across the alien vessel's darkened corridors as life support systems struggled to maintain atmosphere in the damaged sections. Major Park Hyunwoo adjusted his combat helmet and checked his weapon's power cell one final time before leading his boarding team through the breach in the alien ship's hull. Behind him, 12 of Earth's finest Marines followed in perfect formation, their modified mining suits providing protection against the vacuum of space. What they were about to attempt had never been tried before, boarding an advanced alien warship while it was still partially operational. Remember, "We need their technology intact," Hyunwoo spoke into his comm unit as they moved through the twisted metal corridors. "These aliens have weapons and shields that are centuries ahead of ours. If we can capture their systems, we might actually have a chance." The interior of the Imperial vessel was unlike anything the humans had seen. Walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and the corridors were designed for creatures much larger than humans. Strange mechanical creatures skittered along the walls, maintenance robots with multiple limbs that sparked and twitched as they tried to repair the damage. Lieutenant Song Minji raised her weapon as one of the alien maintenance bots approached. "Them?" But Hyunwoo held up his hand. "Wait, look at it carefully." The robot was roughly the size of a dog, with 6 metallic legs and sensors that glowed like jewels. Instead of attacking, it seemed curious about the human intruders. "It's trying to repair the damage we caused," realized Sergeant Kim Dong-hyuk. "These robots don't see us as threats. They see us as another system malfunction to fix." The team moved deeper into the ship, using the maintenance robots as guides. The aliens had designed their vessels to be self-repairing, which meant the robots knew every shortcut and hidden passage. Within minutes, the humans found themselves outside the ship's command center, where alien voices could be heard arguing in panic. "Bridge secured," Minji reported, after her team had overwhelmed the surprised alien crew. The Imperial officers, evolved from prey species, had never expected boarding parties and were completely unprepared for close combat. Beginning data extraction now. Dr. Kim Taeyang worked feverishly in his laboratory aboard the human command ship Indomitable, surrounded by alien technology that his team had salvaged from captured Imperial vessels. The brilliant engineer had spent the last 72 hours without sleep, driven by the knowledge that Earth's survival depended on understanding their enemy's advantages. "The power source is incredible," he muttered to his assistant Dr. Yoon Seo-young, as they examined a section of alien hull plating. "They're using controlled quantum reactions to generate energy levels that should be impossible. But look at this. Their shielding system has a critical flaw." On his workbench lay components from 3 different Imperial ships, their crystalline structures glowing with contained energy. Taeyang had discovered that the aliens' shields operated on rotating frequencies, like a combination lock that changed every few seconds. But human computers designed for rapid calculations could predict the pattern. "I figured out their shield harmonics," he announced triumphantly over the fleet communication system. "Every Imperial ship uses the same base frequency pattern. If we modify our weapons to match their shield rotation, we can punch through their defenses." Fleet Admiral John Suho received the news while coordinating the defense of Earth's outer colonies. The grizzled veteran had fought in every major conflict of the past 30 years, but nothing had prepared him for warfare against an interstellar empire. "How long until you can modify our weapons?" "Give me 6 hours, and I can upgrade every ship in the fleet," Taeyang promised. "But Admiral, there's something else. These aliens have never fought anyone like us. Their entire military doctrine is based on overwhelming technological superiority and formal battle tactics. They expect their enemies to surrender when faced with superior firepower." Meanwhile, Captain Lee Hyeri had begun her own form of warfare from the bridge of the stealth ship, Soul's Shadow. As a former intelligence officer, she understood that battles could be won with minds as well as weapons. Her ship's advanced communication array was now broadcasting directly to the Imperial fleet, on frequencies her team had decoded from captured alien equipment. "Attention, Imperial forces!" Her voice echoed across alien ships throughout the solar system. "This is Captain Lee of the Earth Defense Force. We know you can understand us now. We've studied your communication protocols, your ship designs, and your battle tactics. You are not as advanced as you think." Her broadcasts included detailed analyses of Imperial weaknesses that human engineers had discovered, tactical information that should have been impossible for a primitive species to obtain, and disturbing audio recordings of human military. Songs that seemed to unnerve the alien crews. The song that caused the most panic among Imperial forces was an ancient human war chant that Hyeri had found in Earth's historical archives. The rhythmic beating and aggressive vocals apparently triggered some deep evolutionary fear response in species that had evolved from prey animals. Your shield generators have a 3-second vulnerability window during frequency transitions. Yeri continued her psychological assault. Your weapons require 17 seconds to recharge between maximum power shots. Your hull plating is weakest at the connection points between sections. We know everything about your ships now. Admiral Thexeron paced his command bridge like a caged predator, his reptilian features twisted with frustration and growing fear. 3 days ago, this had been a routine conquest operation. Now, he was fighting for his fleet's survival against an enemy that seemed to learn and adapt faster than should be possible. "Admiral, the humans have somehow penetrated our communication encryption," reported his intelligence officer. "They're broadcasting tactical data that they should not possess. Worse, their broadcasts are causing panic among our crews." "How is this possible?" Thexeron demanded. "They were classified as a Category 7 threat. Their technology was centuries behind ours." "Sir, they appear to be learning from our captured vessels. Every ship they board, every system they examine, they somehow integrate into their own capabilities. It's as if they've been studying galactic technology for decades instead of days." The Admiral watched his tactical display as human ships began, attacking with new weapons that could penetrate Imperial shields. Ships that had been helpless against his fleet's defenses just hours ago were now destroying his cruisers with precise, devastating strikes. What manner of species adapts this? Quickly, he wondered aloud, his voice carrying a note of genuine fear. "In all my years of conquest, I have never encountered beings who could reverse engineer our technology while still fighting us. It defies all logic." Commander Velquan approached with the latest casualty reports, his face grim. "Admiral, we've lost 37 ships in the past day alone. The humans are not just fighting us. They're evolving their tactics faster than we can counter them. Each engagement teaches them something new about our capabilities, while revealing nothing about theirs. The arrival of Admiral Caithvar's massive armada turned Earth's star system into a nightmare of flashing lights and screaming metal. Over 200 Imperial warships materialized from hyperspace in perfect formation, each vessel larger than Earth's biggest space stations. The alien fleet stretched across millions of kilometers, their combined firepower capable of sterilizing entire worlds. Admiral Caithvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, Galaxy's Wrath, a dreadnought so massive it carried its own fighter squadrons and manufacturing facilities. His 6 eyes studied the tactical displays showing the scattered human forces, and his mandibles clicked with satisfaction. This embarrassing conflict would end within hours. "Deploy all battle groups," he commanded his fleet. "I want overwhelming force brought to bear on every human position." These primitives have caused enough trouble for the Empire. The Imperial fleet advanced like a steel avalanche, their energy weapons lighting up space as they targeted human vessels and orbital installations. But as the battle began in earnest, the aliens quickly discovered that their previous encounters had only revealed a fraction of humanity's true nature. Sergeant Major OJ-1 gripped his assault rifle tightly as his boarding pod smashed through the hull of the Imperial super dreadnought Eternal Conquest. Around him, 24 elite Marines from Earth's Special Forces prepared to storm the alien vessel's interior. These men and women had volunteered for what everyone knew was a suicide mission, capturing an enemy ship from the inside while it was actively engaged in battle. "Remember, we need to reach their reactor core," J1 shouted over the sound of alarms and weapons fire. "If we can overload their power systems, we can take down their entire section of the fleet." The team moved through corridors filled with strange alien architecture, past walls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and mechanical creatures that scuttled away from the human intruders. The Imperial ship was like a living organism, with organic computers and self-healing hull plating that tried to seal itself around the human breach. Suddenly, Imperial security forces appeared at the far end of the corridor. Tall, insectoid creatures carrying energy weapons that could vaporize a human in seconds. Their leader, a massive alien with 4 arms and razor-sharp claws, gestured for the humans to surrender. "Drop your weapons, primitives," the alien commander hissed in translated speech. "You are vastly outnumbered." Instead of retreating, Jae-hwan smiled grimly and raised his rifle. We're never outnumbered when we're fighting for our home. The aliens opened fire, their energy beams searing the air. One blast caught Jae-hwan in the shoulder, burning through his armor and flesh. According to every species the Empire had ever encountered, the wound should have sent him retreating to seek medical attention. Instead, something incredible happened. The pain seemed to fuel Jae-hwan's rage rather than weaken him. With a roar that echoed through the alien corridors, he charged forward, firing his weapon with one hand, while blood streamed down his arm. His team followed without hesitation, their battle cries mixing with the sound of gunfire. The Imperial Marines, creatures whose ancestors had spent millions of years fleeing from predators, had never seen anything like it. When faced with injury, every known species either retreated or submitted, but these humans seemed to become more dangerous when wounded, not less. "Fall back," the alien commander screamed as human soldiers poured through their defensive positions. "They're not behaving logically." The retreat became a rout as seasoned Imperial troops fled from injured humans who should have been seeking cover. Within minutes, Jae-hwan's team had captured the ship's engineering section and begun the process of overloading its massive reactors. Captain Nam Yura watched from the command center of Orbital Defense Platform 7 as enemy boarding pods slammed into her station's hull. The platform, one of Earth's most important defensive installations, housed the quantum communication arrays that coordinated the human fleet's movements. Losing it would cripple Earth's ability to fight a coordinated battle. "All hands, prepare to repel boarders," she announced over the station's communication system. "Remember, this is our home they're trying to take. Make them pay for every meter." The alien assault force that breached the station's outer hull was unlike anything the humans had faced before. These were the Empire's elite shock troops, genetically enhanced warriors bred specifically for close combat. Each alien soldier stood 3 meters tall, with natural armor plating and claws that could tear through steel. But as they advanced through the station's corridors, something went wrong with their carefully planned assault. The human defenders didn't behave like any enemy they had trained to fight. When cornered, instead of surrendering or trying to escape, the humans fought back with a ferocity that defied all military logic. Yura herself led the counterattack, wielding a plasma cutter that she had grabbed from a maintenance closet. When an Imperial shock trooper cornered her in the station's central hub, she didn't plead for mercy or try to negotiate. Instead, she attacked the creature with savage determination, using the industrial tool like a sword. "This is our station," she snarled as she drove the alien back. "Our home. You want it? Come and take it." The sight of a small human female driving back a genetically enhanced warrior sent shock waves through the Imperial assault force. Within minutes, the alien troops were retreating to their boarding pods, reporting that the humans were too aggressive to subdue safely. Commander Lixvan, monitoring the battle from his command ship, transmitted an urgent report to Admiral Kethvar. His voice carried notes of panic that no Imperial officer should ever display. "Admiral, something is terribly wrong with our intelligence assessments. These humans don't respond to injury or overwhelming odds the way other species do. When we wound them, they become more dangerous, not less. When we corner them, they fight harder instead of surrendering." Kethvar studied the battle reports flooding his command center. Across the engagement zone, his forces were reporting the same impossible phenomenon. Human defenders were continuing to fight with injuries that should have incapacitated them. Human ship crews were ramming damaged vessels into Imperial formations rather than abandoning ship. Human soldiers were launching suicide attacks that no rational species would consider. "This defies all biological programming," Kethvar muttered to his science officers. "Fear of death is the most basic survival instinct. How can an intelligent species have evolved without it?" The answer came from Dr. Vex Thul, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, whose research had helped the Empire understand and conquer hundreds of species. The elderly scientist's tentacles writhed with distress as he delivered his analysis. "Admiral, I have reviewed the genetic samples we've collected from human prisoners. The results are disturbing. Every other species in the galaxy evolved, from herbivores or prey animals. Our flight response, our tendency to submit to superior force, our instinct to negotiate rather than fight, these are all survival traits inherited from ancestors who survived by avoiding conflict. And the humans? The humans evolved from apex predators, Admiral. They are the only species we have ever encountered whose ancestors hunted other creatures for survival. Their pain response doesn't trigger retreat, it triggers aggression. When threatened, they don't seek escape, they seek to eliminate the threat. They are quite literally natural-born killers, and we have awakened something that should have been left alone. The realization sent chills through the Imperial command staff. For the first time in galactic history, the Empire was facing an enemy that had evolved specifically to hunt and kill other creatures. Every human instinct that seemed illogical to the aliens made perfect sense when viewed through the lens of predator evolution. The massive Imperial battleship Eternal Dominion drifted through space, its hull scarred and broken, emergency lights flickering across sections where human boarding parties had fought their way to the ship's core systems. What had once been the pride of the Galactic Empire's Third Fleet was now a trophy of war, captured by beings the aliens had dismissed as primitive savages just days earlier. Colonel Bai Sunho walked through the alien vessel's command center, marveling at technology that seemed to blend organic and mechanical components into something almost alive. The ship's walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and strange crystalline structures hummed with contained energy. His engineering teams had been working around the clock to understand systems that were centuries ahead of human technology. "Colonel, you need to see this," called out Lieutenant Commander Yun Ji from her position at what had been the alien navigation station. The brilliant engineer had spent the past 18 hours learning to interface with Imperial computers using a combination of captured alien interface devices and human ingenuity to crack their systems. "We've successfully reverse-engineered their faster-than-light communications array," she reported, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "But, sir, it's more than that. We can now intercept every transmission in their entire fleet. We know their positions, their battle plans, even their supply routes." Sunho studied the holographic display that showed the locations of every Imperial ship in the solar system. The alien fleet, which had seemed so overwhelmingly powerful, just a week ago now appeared scattered and demoralized. Red indicators showed damaged vessels, while others displayed the panic-filled communications traffic that Jihee's team was monitoring in real time. "Their admirals are arguing among themselves," reported communications specialist Park Kyungjae. "Half want to retreat immediately, while the others are demanding reinforcements from their homeworlds. They're calling us an unprecedented threat to galactic stability." The transformation of captured Imperial vessels into human warships was happening across Earth's fleet. The Soul's Revenge, as Sunho had rechristened his captured battleship, was just one of 15 alien vessels that human crews had seized during the desperate fighting. Each captured ship was being rapidly modified with hybrid technology that combined the best of both civilizations. Dr. Kim Tae-yang had established a mobile laboratory aboard the human command ship, where his teams worked frantically to integrate alien systems with human engineering. The results were astounding even to him. "We've improved their shield generators by 30%, he reported to Fleet Admiral John Suho during their daily briefing. "Human computer systems process information faster than their biomechanical interfaces. We can rotate shield frequencies in milliseconds instead of seconds, making our defenses nearly impenetrable." "What about weapons?" the Admiral asked, studying. "Reports from across the human fleet. Even better news, sir. We've figured out how to overcharge their energy weapons using our fusion reactors. The aliens built their systems for efficiency and longevity. We've rebuilt them for maximum destructive power, even if it means replacing components more frequently." Admiral Keithvar stared at his tactical display in growing horror as another of his dreadnoughts went dark, overwhelmed by human forces that seemed to grow stronger with each passing hour. The Galaxy's Wrath, his own flagship, bore scars from attacks by ships that should have been incapable of penetrating Imperial defenses. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science staff. These creatures were rated as a minimal threat. Their technology was centuries behind ours. "Admiral," his chief analyst replied, his voice shaking, "they're not just using our technology, they're improving it. Every system they capture, they somehow make better. Their modifications should be impossible, but they work." The truth was becoming clear to Imperial Command. Humans didn't just adapt to new technology, they instinctively understood how to make it deadlier, more efficient, more suited to their aggressive nature. What the Empire had developed for exploration and control, humans were perfecting for warfare. "Admiral," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. It's a surrender demand." The bridge fell silent as Fleet Admiral John Suho's image appeared on the main screen. The human commander looked tired but determined, his weathered face bearing the scars of someone who had fought his way through countless battles. "Admiral Kethvar," Suho began, his voice carrying across the Imperial fleet on frequencies the humans had hijacked from captured ships. "You came to our home uninvited. You threatened our families. You demanded our surrender without even the courtesy of proper first contact." Around the human admiral, alien technology interfaced seamlessly with human systems, displaying tactical information that should have been impossible for the primitives to obtain. "Now we know everything about your ships, your weapons, your fleet positions. We've captured your technology and made it better. You have exactly 10 minutes to leave our system, or we will show you what humanity does to those who threaten Earth." Kethvar's tactical officers were already calculating the odds, and the results were terrifying. The human fleet now consisted of both their original vessels, upgraded with Imperial technology, and captured alien ships operated by crews who had somehow learned advanced systems in mere days. "Sir," his fleet coordinator reported quietly, "if we continue this engagement, we face complete annihilation. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that exceed our own. Recommendation is immediate strategic withdrawal." For the first time, in the 1,000-year history of the Galactic Empire, an Imperial Admiral faced a choice that no commander had ever contemplated: retreat from a species that had been classified as primitive, or face the complete destruction of his fleet. "Signal all ships," Kethvar ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of historical precedent. "Begin immediate withdrawal from this system. Set course for the nearest Imperial base." As the battered remnants of the Imperial fleet began their humiliating retreat, they left behind a solar system forever changed. Earth's orbital shipyards were already working around the clock, building new vessels that combined human engineering with captured alien technology. Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the U.S. Vengeance, one of the first ships constructed using hybrid technology. The vessel bristled with weapons that could penetrate Imperial shields, powered by reactors that generated more energy than anything in Earth's previous fleet. "Captain," reported his executive officer, Commander Park Seo-yeon, "long-range sensors are detecting Imperial reinforcement fleets massing in nearby systems. It appears they're preparing for a major counterattack." Minho smiled grimly as he studied the tactical displays showing Earth's rapidly expanding fleet. Human shipyards were producing vessels at a rate that would have been impossible before the invasion, each one more advanced than the last. "Let them come," he replied. "They wanted to conquer Earth, but instead they've given us something far more valuable. They've given us the stars themselves." Across Earth's colonies and orbital stations, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer trapped in a single solar system. They possessed faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and defensive systems that matched or exceeded anything the galaxy had seen. The species that had evolved as apex predators was now armed with the tools of galactic conquest. The Galactic Empire had made the greatest tactical error in their history. They had attacked a species of natural-born warriors and provided them with advanced technology. Now humanity was preparing to take their place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. The war for Earth was over. The war for the galaxy was about to begin. The end.